Ah, ah. Well, I'm back from my night swim. Ah, it was a nice, relaxing moment. I made my exercise. I felt totally refreshed. And it was pretty cold outside. Now, I am not talking about a nice, refreshing night swim so you can feel refreshed when you go to bed. No, not that kind of night swim. I'm talking about the latest movie I have seen. What a way to start off the year. Well, you know what? I'm used to it. Every single year, we always start off with January, the self-proclaimed dumpster fire month for movies. This is where the movies that for the most part they're badly done or very average, and it's the ones that people from Hollywood is like, you know what, all these mainstream movies that we just want to showcase. No, let's not do it in January. Let's go with the run-of-the-mill, well, dollar store thing that we can get through, and there we go. And you know what? I think I'm beginning to like this January movies, mostly because it's kind of like a surprise goodie bag. Sometimes you're gonna get laugh out loud bad movies or something that kind of surprises you, just like last year we started out with Megan. But this is kind of like a topic that I already talked about many times. Here mostly to talk about Night Swim. It is the directorial debut of this guy. What was his name? Bryce McGuire. He he made also a short film called Night Swim also, which is the short that is based on this film is based on. Uh, I did watch it before. The movie came out, and it's very short. It's more or less 3 minutes. But is it good? Truth be told, not exactly really. I mean, it's just this woman swimming on a pool at night. Creepy things happen. It has some creepy cinematography, and then the woman kind of feels like someone is calling her. And then when she wants to get out of the pool, she sees this other ghastly woman that it's not that scary. She just kind of just there, and then she gets surprised, and then she gets pulled over by the swimming pool and disappears, and that's it. That's it. If you're curious, you can watch. It is on YouTube. But for I personally, I didn't think that it was a grandiose short in order to make it kind of like a big screen. But okay, sometimes the little things can be expanded upon to make it a full-fledged movie. Almost similar to this movie called Lights Out, in which that one actually had a very good short film, but the result of the movie wasn't exactly very good. But still, not just because I wanted to watch it because being a January film, but also is because, well, I gotta give it credit a little bit of the trailer, in which the trailer is very underwhelming, but at least it doesn't show too much. But still, you gotta roll your eyes when you see, oh, it's coming in January. Well, why not? So lo and behold, I went to see it. It's not the Megan movie that I expected. It's not. No, it's not the Megan experience. I I was about to say that this movie was painfully average, but then the more I begin to think about it, it went down and down and down on my expectations until the final minutes of the movie. Down it went. It just sank and never went afloat. That movie was really dumb, really stupid, and painfully predictable. So before I go talk about this movie, I want you to play a game, and I will do my best to make this vlog entertaining in a way. But here's the thing: if you watch every single horror movie you have seen, from the good ones or the bad ones or the average one, whatever it is, make a bingo card, and then scratch out every single time you predict something that is gonna happen. This movie is almost a lot of tokens that you expected in a basic horror movie. It has almost all these elements that you predict or have been done in other movies. Sometimes better than others. But man, that I was predicting almost every single thing. And you know what? This is gonna be one of those vlogs where I'm not gonna bother with a spoiler alert, because this is something that I have to talk to you, and because the whole movie in itself is something that I needed to tell you. But so, how's this haunted swimming pool movie is? Let's get started from the beginning. It starts out with this prologue with this little girl who she had kind of like a family with her brother being bedridden, and he's kind of like sickly. You see him in the machine. She sees something odd on the swimming pool. A nice swimming pool, I might add. And she goes there because she finds kind of like the toy boat and this sunk. And then, of course, creepy things happen, and then she falls into the pool, and then she gets dragged down, and nobody saves her. Then night swim happens, and then we follow with our protagonist, which is this family, and we have the father, played by Wyatt Russell. He is this former baseball player who. I don't know if it was an accident or a sickness, but technically he becomes kind of like crippled. He just walks with a cane, sometimes with a wheelchair. Although it's not exactly believable because I think they just have push up a little bit more on the disability point to make us believe that he is disabled. But he is, the guy should have played this disabled person a little bit better so we could believe it. But anyway, he is sad that he can no longer play baseball, even though his wife love him. We got the token family, which is the kid, the sister, and the cat. I know that once I mentioned that cat, add it on the bingo card. If you don't know, I'll tell you later, but I am predicting that you're gonna put that on the bingo card. But anyway, they're looking for homes to settle down. They rented the house which has the swimming pool. And so then they decided, you know what, let's settle in because, the pool is convenient. Now that the doctor tells me that I have to make swimming therapy. So they do that. there are some moments in which they try hard to make it scary. Like for example, the father gets cut in the hand when he was trying to unclog the swimming pool, and then we get kind of like this weird moment with this pool technician who is doing kind of like the cleaning, and he kind of began to spaz out some word, like for example, these are kind of like man and nature and the pools and all this other. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's almost like he was treating a swimming pool like it is freaking Jurassic Park. That was kind of like odd. And by the way, that guy doesn't come back. But then, of course, the family begin to have fun in the swimming pool. Yeah, fun. And then, of course, then the father still kind of sees something odd with the pool. But then, eventually, he begins to realize that he is getting better. He's becoming healthy. And also, the cat is gone. Something drags the cat. Here's the bingo card. Always, when there's an animal, they always have to go. They're always technically the first or second victim on these kind of movies. It's very stereotyped that it gets a little bit tiring. In fact, also I was gonna a little bit let it pass because probably for newcomers it might be something, but then I have to remember that still newcomers are not exactly your only audience. So yeah, the father gets better, and one kind of like brush off the cat. And then the kid then tries to swim to be on the swimming pool, and then he hears the victim of the first victim, the little girl, and she's like, I got my name is Rebecca Summers, so help me out. And they wanted to play kind of like it, in which the kid sees kind of like the drain of the swimming pool. He wants to remove kind of like a toy, and then something grabs him, and then he gets kind of like scared and all this stuff. Yeah, you know what, they tried, and you know what, I get it. I get what this movie was trying to do, because truth to be told, when I was a little kid, there were some things about the swimming pool that kind of made me nervous. The drain was also one of them, because when you see it, you kind of begin your imagination to float and thinking what's down there or something like that. But still, nothing much, nothing less. Then nothing much uneventful happened. Then comes kind of like the father is trying to push the kid to pursue baseball, because and then he becomes a show off when he wants to showcase his improved skills to this kind of like this junior school team. Something like that, and then they're preparing for that. They want to make a swimming pool party, and we also get kind of like this moment from the trailer in which the eldest sister, she decides to go on a night swim and with his boyfriend. Oh, I almost forgot. The movie even thought it's called Night Swim. I don't know why most of the time, even horror stuff happen in the day. It's called Night Swim. Keep on with the rule, with what you established. Also, there is a kind of, I forgot to mention, there's a moment in which the wife decides she goes on a night, swimming at night. Everything kind of goes, and there is this gimmick with the swimming pool where if you while you're swimming there, sometimes you're gonna see visions of someone while you're underwater. You're underwater, then open your eyes, look up, and someone is there. And then when you resurface, it's not there. I thought that was a kind of like a clever concept, but you when I get to the reveal, it gets dumber. Yeah, I was talking about the girl who was with a boyfriend, and then they began to play Marco Polo, and the boyfriend then kind of, I don't know what was in his mind that he decides to leave her alone in the swimming pool, and she's still kind of like Marco Polo, Marco Polo. And then she gets kind of like nervous because something is attracting her, saying Polo in a scary voice. And this girl, she doesn't have the intelligence to open her eyes for the moment to see it. And then of course the monster is like Polo, like in the trailer, except that this time you see the quote unquote monster and tries to drag her down. And my God, that quote unquote monster, he looks like Thor from what was it from that Ed Wood movie, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, that one. He looks like that guy from Plan 9 from Outer Space if he was melting and covered with weed, apparently. That's the best description I can think how to describe that guy. So she gets rescued by the boyfriend, and she's kind of like scared, even though her brother's like, I wanna, please, tell me what happened. And she's like, no, don't tell anyone because my parents are happy. Nothing happened. And then we got kind of like a the swimming pool party. Here's something funny, Dad. I think that was unintentional. We get the shot of the house with a billboard saying swimming house party. There's the sign over there, surrounded by balloons. Everything looks nice. But then at the last minute before that scene cuts, a balloon pops out. That is kind of like the least you could get as a giggle, because I have the feeling that was unintentional, and it was meaningless. But during the whole movie, I was so bored that almost nothing happened. There were almost no victims except for this little girl and the cat. But the stakes and the thrill were just, it feels meaningless. Kind of like the stakes weren't that high. Okay, then we got kind of like this swimming pool party in the middle of the day. I wish it could happen in the night because that will make the night swim title more have a point. But yeah, they begin to do all these things. Then the mother talks with the woman who showed her the house, the landlord, and she kind of spills the bean that the house previously belonged to this family, and that the doctor had a daughter named Rebecca. And she's like, Rebecca? They didn't mention even the title, the surname, Rebecca Summers, which it could be any Rebecca. But then comes like something really, really dumb and, in a way, creepy happened, in which the Wyatt Russell character, the father, he just mingling around, and then he finds this kid who he grabs this ball that he made a home run during the park, and he kind of begins to admire her and give him an autograph, and then he's like, hey, you know what? Let's go to the swim. And the father begins to play chicken with some other family, but he is holding a kid that he's not even his son. It's a kid that he kind of barely knows. So in a way, I was like, no, you'll get it. Oh, and of course, while they play chicken, then the father apparently gets absorbed by something like black water, almost like the Pirates of the Dark Water, something. He gets absorbed, and then he just begins to hold the kid strongly, and then he gets back. He begins to walk backwards to the deepest side of the pool to almost drown the kid. And of course, his son is like, Mom, my dad is drowning a kid. They all rescue both of them, and then the party is over. The family of the child who was almost drowned, they don't press charges, but still tell them to get away from them. So a lot of things begins to feel unsettling, and then they say that, you know what, let's get out of the house. But unfortunately, when they get out of the house, the father, he begins to feel ill, almost like he's dying. So technically they can't carry him out of the house. So what do? The kids are left alone. They do their own things, and the mother, she decides to Google this Rebecca Summer, and then she realizes that the swimming pool had kind of like a long history of people disappearing. So she finds that, okay, I'm gonna find the only survivor of the whole thing. There's the mother for who previously owned the house. So she goes there. She has kind of like what was it? Oxygen. She's with the oxygen, and then she begins to say this exposition, in which I kind of wish that they could have built something better, because I can see that there was some potential on it. But here it is. Apparently, that swimming pool was kind of like a site where there was this magical water that it can grant wishes. But in order to grant wishes, it needs a sacrifice. So it is revealed that this woman, she technically sacrificed her child, Rebecca Summers' child, in order to fulfill her wish, which is healing the other son from his apparently terminal illness. And that kid apparently he becomes a successful politician in Washington. We don't see the kid. She just says that my kid, he's successful in the office in Washington. You know what? You can put any political comment saying that this is not good, but still, our protagonist's wife is like, no, that's not a good trait. You can't sacrifice dad. This is not love. And of course, the woman kind of begins to say, and she begins to feel to get evil. We see that the water surrounding her is full of, it gets black water, and she even begins to have tears of black water. And of course, she decided that, you know what? Let's get out. We should do something. So she returns to the house, and of course, the children are in danger. The little kid, he gets snared by the monster because it begins to imitate the cat. And when he didn't see that it is, he gets dragged into the pool, and he starts to, sink. And then the mother comes, the sister trying to, all their best to rescue their child. And then while the sister goes to get some help, she sees the father, now possessed by the dark water, with an obvious makeup in which he's just pale and tearing dark water, and he's like, no, don't do that, and he just followed her. I mean, are you getting it? This is kind of like the most painfully average movie you could ever get. But then, this is the moment where it drops the candle, and it gets so stupid. the our mother character, she decides to jump into the pool to rescue her child, and apparently that it kind of turns into kind of like this ocean dimension where it gets really really deep like the ocean. Don't ask me why. It just do. And then all these zombies of the victims, they just try to drag her out. But then it gets even dumber and so pretentious of the power of love, because then that Rebecca Summers character, this little girl, appears and she guides her, and she's like, the exit is over there, or something like that. Who was she? Why this little girl was so special on not being evil? Because she's a little girl? You have to sell me out more on the innocence of children better than that, because they're still human. They're capable of evil, and what's she's. I don't think that these other people were so different. There were probably a few nurses that were so good. They're probably also supposed to be helping them. So, what was so special about this little girl to become kind of like this, like the faintest to save this kid? And what's so special about this kid? There was almost like no explanation of why there was something special about this. If you wanted to do something like that, you better build up something, but it didn't. So it was so dumb and so contrived that, okay, she finally emerged. They confront the father, who's still possessed, and then the elder sister comes up and she beats him with a baseball bat so he can puke the dark water. And and apparently not only it puke the black water, but it also puke his acting talent, because he just begins to spat out some bad acting chops. And when they decide to run, then the water kind of begins to turn black and all that stuff. And then for no reason, the father's like, in order to save my child, because the child was actually kind of like also being possessed, and he's like, you know what? It wants me. So I know what to do. Take care of it. So he decides to get into the water and let himself be possessed by the dark water until it disappears. Add that in the bingo card also twice, because it is very common in these kind of average movies that it's always kind of like the father figure, the one who gets possessed by the evil of something. It happened in this remake of Amityville Horror. It was the one with Ryan Reynolds, and it also what was it? You know what? Oh yeah. It also happened in The Color from Space, the one with Nicolas Cage. It's always almost like that, in which the father is always kind of like the brunt of the whole thing. Oh yeah. A Quiet Place also do that too. So add that in the bingo card, and he's kind of like always the guy who is gonna die or something like that. Oh yeah, the first Purge also did that. See what I'm getting to? It's a by the book movie that I wouldn't even have a problem, but it gets dumber the more I think about it. And what guarantee? And how did he know that that this is gonna solve anything? So yeah, he gets into the swimming pool, and then they drain the pool, and the movie ends with everyone like, you know what? Let's stay in order for a father. But because if we go, other people will probably be victims of that pool. So the solution is they call a construction in order to bury the swimming pool. And the movie ends. So the movie ends almost like that Kids Next Door episode. Yeah, there's the Kid Next Door episode where they find kind of like an alternate universe in a swimming pool, almost similar to that Twilight Zone episode. With the final episode, and that episode of the Kid Next Door ends with filling the swimming pool with sand. And so that's kind of how the movie ends. And you know what? The end. I don't regret spoiling the whole movie because this is a movie that, again, it's just so average. It's so painfully average that, but then borderline, it goes stupid. And I shouldn't be surprised because this is a January movie. I was expecting that, but honestly, I actually get more fun on January movies if it gets fascinating bad or fascinating average, almost like last year with Megan. Because at least with Megan, you can tell that they tried a little bit harder with the social commentary and the robot itself was it's actually fascinating and yeah, many people kind of rolled their eyes when she was kind of like dancing or something like that. But you know what? It was still memorable. Or many years ago, I still remember the discrepancies of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. But this one, no. That one, so by the book to the point that it didn't try anything new. It was too safe. Nobody was killed or having some horrifying moments with this swimming pool. We only get two clean victims, which is the little girl and the cat. Which still is on kind of like by the book thing because they still kind of fall into the previous victim and the animal who they're gonna showcase that okay, it needs to sacrifice. You know what? Here's a plot hole that I find. Here's a plot hole. If the guy becomes better after the cat gets sacrificed, then why does the demon still need more sacrifices? Wouldn't it have been better if the pool was still maintaining, the wishing well analogy, where you're gonna grant a wish, but you have to sacrifice someone? Why didn't you make, for example, like the father get even greedier and wanted more wishes? So he decides that he wants to sacrifice more people. I mean, it's still a basic premise, but at least it will make sense with the goal of the monster itself. Or how about this? Or how about this? And the movie probably wanted to do that, in which the wishes are temporary. The wishes are temporary. You're gonna get your wishes worth the sacrifice. The cat probably is kind of like a small body, so the father is gonna get, for example, like kind of like a day or a week of his wish fulfilled, but then it's gone until you give out another sacrifice. That would be kind of like an interesting idea, but it defeats the purpose because that little girl was sacrificed, and the boy who lives, he became a politician in Washington for many years. I think that is all I can nitpick from this movie. If you're into January movies and you want to see the curiosity of these movies, be my guest and check it out. But I did already tell you that even as a January movie, a good movie is still a good movie, and a bad movie is still a bad movie, no matter which month you present with. January doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be bad. It's just that it becomes kind of like a running gag that this is kind of like what you expect. I did hear that in January they're gonna re-release Godzilla -1, but in black and white. See, it became technically a January movie, but doesn't mean that it has to be bad. But you know, but Night Sweep. At the end of the day, painfully average, painfully predictable. That it gets so stupid at the very end. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna have to play with my little friends. Marco, Polo,